All right, hello you guys, Miss Steele here. I'm gonna take off my mask so it's not in my way. This thing next to me is recording what I'm doing. I'm down here at the bottom. These are my hands and we're gonna get started with our project. So we're talking about texture this week and we're going to turn 3 fruits into bumpy fruits, fuzzy fruits, and drippy fruits. So we're changing the texture. We're talking about implied texture because this texture is flat, but we want it to look like a different texture than what it normally is. Apples aren't normally bumpy, bananas aren't normally hairy, and oranges definitely aren't normally drippy, or at least not the ones I want to eat. So to get started with this project, you will need paper. Usually a base of any art project. The same with our next two, a paper and a pencil and an eraser. So we have paper, pencil, eraser. I have markers and crowns to color in today, but you can use whatever you have to color in. And then for the background, I thought it'd be fun to have a textured background. So whenever I'm here at school, or whenever you guys are here, we have these texture sheets we can use. But instead of these texture sheets, which we would use to add texture, you guys can think about what things have texture at your house. Whether that is a doily, which on this white paper looks very white, but it could have a lot of texture to it. Or some fabric is something that could have texture. I just looked around my room for a second. Some crumpled up foil. Cardboard is a good thing for texture. So that's the basis of what we need. We'll get to that stuff later, but first we want to start out with drawing our apple, banana, and orange. I think it's easiest to start with the banana, and I like to add it in the middle so I kind of have like a base. So what I do is I like to start with just my stem. I'm trying to draw pretty dark so you guys can see me, but you can draw a lot lighter. And then I come over with one curved line. So I made my stem, and then I made a curved line confidently. And then I'm going to come out on this other side, and I'm going to go out and then kind of come back in. So you see I kind of went out and then came back in. Oof, that eraser does not work that well. I have my own though. So we have our banana, just the outline. Now we want to get our apple, and I think I'm going to add it to this side where I have a little bit more space. And for my apple, and you want to draw these big because you want a lot that you can add room to. I add 2 humps at the top. And then I bring down my sides. And then I do 3 humps at the bottom. So 2 humps at the top, 3 humps at the bottom. I'm going to go through and press a little bit harder so you guys can see. And then we'll add our stem. So that leaves our last one, which is just an orange, which is just a circle. I like to add the little pit in. So our next step is going to be making one of these bumpy, one of these drippy, and one of these hairy. So what I thought would be easier than me showing, maybe I will just do it on here. So if I want to make something bumpy, I'm going to start with my apple. The first thing I want to do is I want to take this outline and I want to make it bumpy. I want to give it a bumpy outline. So that would require me to erase this shape I've already made because I don't want to keep this straight line on the outside since this is bumpy. I want to make it bumpy. So I'm erasing my straight line because I have the shape I want now and I can still kind of see it. And then I'm going to go through and make the line around the outside of my apple bumpy. There you go. So now on the inside, I'm going to add bumps. And to add bumps, I like to draw the letter C And I like to draw it teeny tiny. I like to make it to where it's almost touching. And then I like to do that in all different shapes and sizes all over on my paper. And that is what will give it the illusion of it having these big like bumps coming off of it, is drawing the letter C, making it to where it almost touches, and you want to do some teeny tiny and some really big, just mixed all around, like so. All right, so now we have our bumpy apple done in pencil. I think I'm going to make my banana fuzzy. And to make something fuzzy, what you want to do is you want to add just little lines going every direction. So you see I'm starting to add in little lines. I'm doing mine lightly. Because I want to go over it after with marker. But that's the general start. And you want to add in even more hairs than what I added in. I just started it out. So now we have a bumpy, we have a hairy that we've applied textures. Now we want a drippy. To create a drippy texture, you want to draw a really like wavy line that has pretty intense waves. Oop, knocked that. I like to start at the bottom and work my way down. So I will make a wavy line with some big and some little, and that'll be like my first drip. And then I'll come around this edge. And then I'm gonna do it again to where I'm making a crazy wavy line. Maybe off this side I'll add another wavy line. And here to the bottom. And then we used a bumpy line, we used teeny tiny lines for this, and then we used wavy lines. So what I like to do before I color it in, because if I was to just color this all in orange, I would lose some of the details that I created. So I like to go through and outline and marker first, and then I like to color in crown. If you don't have markers to outline, you can just use your crowns to outline and press harder whenever you're outlining and going over all your details, and then press gentler or softer whenever you're coloring in. And that'll help give you an outline. But you can see I'm starting to outline. There's some of my apple outlined. If I was going to do my orange, I would grab an orange and start outlining. Taking your time. And then maybe I'll get my little pit in there. And then the same goes for the hairs. If you use a darker and a lighter color whenever you're putting in your hairs, that helps a lot too, because sometimes whenever you add a bunch of small lines in of one color, you kind of lose the texture that you made. So sometimes I like to go in with another color and add some hairs on top, just because it gives it a whole nother layer. You see, there's my hairs on top and my hairs in the background. So you would continue to outline these, and then you would color it in using crowns. Since I have one that's already done and colored in, I want to show you guys what the completed project would look like. So I outlined in my marker, and then I colored in lightly using crowns. The same over here at the bottom of my drips. I added a little bit of a darker color just to make it look even more 3D. And then for my background, I use those texture sheets, but you probably don't have those at your house. So you could find things around your house that have texture, even going outside. the outside pavement has texture. And you would slip these in behind because normally we color and it's on the smooth table, but putting this in between the table and our paper, it'll pick up this texture instead of that smooth texture. And your last step would be coloring in between your fruits using different things that have texture. If you can't find anything that has texture, that's okay. You can just color in between them. So there's some with a piece of cardboard. Here's a background whenever I'm coloring on top of foil. You can see some of the texture down there. If I was to color on top of this doily for my background, you can see how well that can come out. Ooh, you can kind of start to see some details right in here. But that is it, second grade. This was a longer video, but you're gonna draw your apple, your banana, and your orange. You wanna make one bumpy, one hairy, and one drippy. I will see you guys all next time. I hope you have a lovely rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whenever you're watching this. And I will see you guys all later.